Hey there, Chris Wells here, and this month's educational theme for tutorials here at Lightworks is colour. And in today's video, we're going to be looking into LUTs, those magical files you can drag and drop onto your footage to give it a specific look. Now essentially a LUT is short for lookup table, and it is a giant colour chart that tells your editing software to swap out specific colours in your footage for new ones. So the dark blues can become teal, the yellows give them a warmer glow, and bam! You have a unified colour look thanks to that lookup table. To get the most out of LUTs, you need to shoot in either a RAW file type or a log video format. RAW is essentially raw data from the camera before it's even processed into a video, resulting in massive files, but ones that are very malleable, with many things being completely adjustable in post-production. While log is a specific video format, processed in the camera to maximize the amount of image information that can be stored in a video file. Because of this, the footage often looks very washed out, giving as wide a dynamic range as possible in that format, giving you the headroom to bring it all back in post-production. And that's where LUTs usually come in as the first step to bringing your footage into a more viewable colour space, and after that you can tweak everything else when colour grading. So let's boot up Lightworks and I'll show you how to get started using LUTs. And here we are in Lightworks, so let me just play the footage we've got today. Just remember it was shot in log, so it's looking very kind of grayed out at the minute. And there we go, and then dancing, look at that. So obviously, because this was shot in log, you can kind of see that like it looks a bit grayed out, and that's because we need to bring those colors back out from the footage. So in order to do that, the best thing we can do is add in our LUT. There is in fact quite a few ways to add in a LUT onto our footage. So the first way is to add it onto an individual clip. What we need to do is we could go to the log view, click this, and this just gives us a better view of all of our footage. So I'm just going to click on this footage here, and we can see all the metadata, all the information about the video. And if I scroll down, we can see that this was shot on an RE camera. Now that's great because Lightworks in fact has quite a few built-in lookup tables, and one of those lookup tables is for an RE. So if we go to LUT, just a couple of things down here, we can just click that, and there we go, we've got an RE. As you can see, we've got so many different examples here, but the one I'm going to go with, I'm just going to go for this V3 log C, which I think might have been the one it was shot on. So there we go, we've just chucked a LUT onto this footage, and now we just need to do the same thing. Another way we can do it is double clicking on here and clicking this little knobbly bit, and you'll see we've got all the metadata for that shot. I know this was shot on an RE, so once again I'm just going to go to LUT, RE, and then click the same one I clicked before, and there we go. So if I play that now, shot 1 and shot 2 of dancing, looking all great to me. And that's just one way you can add LUTs onto your clips. So if I just remove the LUTs again, there we go, get on this footage as well, go down to here, press none, there we go. So we've removed the LUTs again, and one of the things we can do is we can actually add a LUT onto our entire project. So to do that, if everything is shot on the same camera, we can just go up to this little bit here to get up the project card, and it's got viewing LUT. So if we click this, we'll see it's currently on the wrong one, but if we go to the kind of LUT we want to go to, so we'll go to this. This will in fact apply the LUT across the entire project uniformly, which is great if everything's shot on the same camera and under the same color profile. So there we go, everything's looking good. And then what we do to export it, to make sure that everything is on there, we go to export, switch to let's just do an MP4, and you'll see it says use project viewing LUT, and as long as that box is ticked, that means it will export it with that LUT built in. The other way that you can do in order to give yourself a bit more control is if I just deactivate this viewing LUT and we're back down to the basics. The other thing that we can do is we can in fact add a LUT as an effect. So we've got this 3D LUT here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag it off away from the clip, so I then have a new effects layer, and I can drag that across everything. Alternatively, we can set an in point and an out point to where we want on the footage, click the effect we want to go on and press apply to the marked section to achieve the same result. Then all I've got to do is just make sure it's on the timeline here. I can choose the LUT I want, so it's an RE, that one there. And now we have a little bit of wiggle room when it comes to adjusting how much of that LUT we want on. Now we probably want most of it on, but if I just tone it down a little bit, and that will be applied onto both clips. Now this is obviously very high contrasty footage, so I think it looks alright like that. But let's say you have a couple of other shots that aren't shot on an RE camera. If we go to assets here, and I'll just, choose this shot here, drag that down, and now if I drag this LUT across on it, you'll see it's just a bit too contrast. It's a bit too intense for this camera, because this was shot on a Sony, I believe, so this will require a different LUT. So I can just drag that back, make sure it covers the two shots I want, and then for this one, all I got to do is go to effects, add on to the LUT here if I want that control, and then just click, S-curve 3. That's still too, although we can turn that down a bit. There we go. So yeah, that is just some of the ways that you can add a LUT to your footage directly in Lightworks.